I'm Sara Albertson. I am the Development Manager at TeenTix, and I am here doing an interview today with Sara, and I'm so excited. Oh, and I use she, her pronouns.
Dope. Hi, I'm Sara Porkalob, Sara 2.0. Pronouns are she and her, and I'm a super fan of TeenTix. I also make theater. If there's anything in theater that you can do besides design a set or costumes or lights or sound, I've done it.
We're going to be drawing self-portraits of ourselves without picking up our pen or pencil one time. What kind of art were you interested in during high school, and has that changed from now and what you're interested in doing?
In high school, I was really interested in doing anything that any teacher would consider like radical. And honestly, it hasn't changed as I've gotten older and have worked more. I think if anything, just my definition of what radical means has expanded and deepened.
That's awesome. I did theater as well. I
Mhm.
loved doing I did acting. I wanted to be like a big Disney star. I watched Hannah Montana and just remembered I wanted to be like that double life. But the other thing that I love to do is costumes. And my
Ooh.
freshman year, we did High School Musical, and we got to bedazzle everything, and I loved it. So I love designing those. And nowadays, I bring that, I like redo t-shirts, kind of, and I consider that art.
What was one of your most pivotal arts moment?
When I saw Wicked at the Paramount Theater, when we got there and when the lights go down in Wicked, the bat immediately turns on and there's smoke and there's red eyes. At the end of the show, I left it bawling, just absolutely bawling. And my mom was like freaking out and being like, "Are you hurt? Did you get stepped on? Like, what happened to you?" And I was like, "I am just so sad it's over, and I want to do this for the rest of my life."
Dang, yes.
And that was just like the moment where I was like, this is what I want to create. Like, I want to create this art. I want to make people feel the feelings I had during this performance and like escape to this magical world of Wicked. How about you?
The summer before high school, I was in a community theater production of Les Mis, and I was that awesome part of that mean girl in the factory who's mean to Fantine. And I was like, this is my solo, and I have to hate it. It was huge, actually, for me because after opening night, the director walked up to my parents. He was like, Sarah's incredible. I had never worked with her before, but if I knew she was this good, I would have given her a bigger part.
Oh.
And I remember hearing that. If he knew me before, he would have given me a bigger part. Is this nepotism? But then I was like, Sarah, you're awesome. Keep going.
Yeah.
You no, there is no such thing as a small part. And I took that part and I got crazy with it. And
That's awesome.
you recognized it, and here I am going to Broadway. So
I love that. Congratulations. Why do you think art access is an essential human right?
quick preface, like what do I think are essential human rights besides art? Healthcare, education, shelter, food, clothing, representation in the court of law. I believe that they're essential human rights because they're not just rights that help humans actually live. Housing and healthcare perpetuates a quality of life that I think all humans should have access to. So when it comes to arts access, my introduction to art growing up as a poor person, as a brown person, and as a female identifying person with queer parents who were both women of color, my introduction to the arts was via public television, like Fiddler on the Roof, like the musicals.
Wow, yeah. And there's not much, the shows that you mentioned, that I've seen representation of people who look like us in those.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And my family, I'm Filipino, and so music was huge. Music and singing and dancing and storytelling was just a part of my culture. So combine that with like public television growing up as a brown, poor girl. Access to art was a huge source of joy for my family as a family growing up in a society ultimately who felt that we didn't deserve nice things, right? I know that there's a lot of classism and white supremacist culture that make up our American arts culture. And that's one thing that I, as an artist, have tried to reckon with professionally, have tried to dismantle, and have tried to replace with something better. Art is the social expression of our lived experience. And that doesn't have to be only theater or stories. It's a collective cultural expression of who we are outside of the history books that are written by the white supremacist winners.
Yeah, I think you nailed that.
Totally lifted up my pen and I ended up just drawing a portrait that's just hair.
I love it. Why not? Some days I'm just my hair. I love
Just
it.
my hair. So, a deep question for you. Why is it important, in your perspective, for young people to engage in art in general, and specifically right now?
Yeah, I think it's so important to share stories and to hear stories that are different from your own. And that's one thing that I think good art does. It doesn't have to be deep. It doesn't have to be super sad, but I think you could always tell a good story about somebody's experience. But I think that's really important for kids, especially young, to learn about lives that are different from their own when they're creating who they are going to be for themselves and the values that they're going to hold for the rest of their life. I think the exposure is really, it helps people have a better sense of compassion, understanding, finding out hobbies and things that they may like that they wouldn't have known otherwise. I think for teenagers, why it's so important to engage in arts too is it's a time where you can come and be creative. And I think in teenage years, a lot of times we are encouraged to lose the creativity that we had when we were young. But in theater, you're encouraged to just dive into another world and into another story and also let go of all of the societal pressures you feel of yourself. I think I've learned some of my best life lessons from characters that I've played in theater.
I love that. I love that so much. It's such a beautiful example of like resisting the socialization that young people start to really, really feel as they come into puberty, as they start to like become more emotionally aware themselves, socially aware of where they are in the world, like trying things, not actually trying to move towards the thing that you think you should be because society says you should.
Have you been enjoying any art lately, or where have you been enjoying like art in your world in the quarantine?
I've just been watching people getting creative on Instagram with like TikTok and just memes.
Yeah.
And to me, like a good meme is art.
I have to say I've been on the TikTok craze, but when I dove deeper and deeper, I found a lot of like comedy in the art section on it. I really liked watching like the dances that people, a lot of like senior recitals are going on. Question.
Answer.
How have you seen the definition of art change during your career / arts going experience?
So in the 9 years that I've been working professionally, largely here in Seattle, I've seen two big shifts. The first big shift specifically is around representation, social justice, diversity, equity, and inclusion on stage and off stage. But at that time, on Facebook in 2012 to like 2014, I was like, down with white supremacist theater. This season is racist. You know, I was doing that. Just want to be super humble right now and be like, I'm not the first person to be like, that's problematic. I'm like standing on the shoulders, right, and the incredible like historical platform that so many people before me have done. So that was a huge shift. Like I felt that shift in the beginning of my career, and then it took like 4 to 6 years after that for people to be talking about it and thinking about it collectively. And then the other biggest change is not only who makes art, right? Who's making it, but who gets to say what art is and why it's good and how it gets developed.
I agree with that. And I think for me too, one of the biggest things that I've learned through art is that art doesn't have to be good for you, like in your opinion, to be art.
Yep.
And I think that that was a big pivotal moment for me, because when I thought I like, oh, it's good art or it's not art. But then like when I went to college, I was like, why does that matter? Like, why is my one opinion going to define something that someone else has an opinion on? Like something I think that's really beautiful that I love is the process of theater and admiring that too. Like not to negate that someone took 80 hours of rehearsal time plus all the extra mental energy to do whatever they're doing for you. I find that to be like such a big privilege in my life to be able to experience with them. And looking at art from that point on has made me enjoy it a lot more than when I was 13. Moving back kind of to a question you asked me, because I think it kind of relates, is why do you think teens need access to that kind of art and like experience? And why do you think it's important for them to have it during their teen years?
Similar to what you said, that as we move from children into like young adulthood and adulthood, we are impressionable. We are not only impressionable, but because we're growing and intaking so much information, it can be like incredibly overwhelming, especially faced with white supremacist American socialization. The arts are a collective social expression, a cultural collective expression that presents other ways of being in the world that I think teens need to have as a model for what is possible. Speaking for myself, I saw a lot of those models in my own family and in the art that I was watching. So, I feel like it's no mistake. Oh God, I'm getting emotional. It's like, it's no mistake that the art that I'm known for are the stories about my family. The people who modeled for me a different way of thinking, being, and moving in the world. For teens to have access to art, young people, anybody to have access to art, to see that there are other options for like family environments, educational environments, that's just like, it's a huge source of inspiration, I think, for people.
Yeah. I agree.
One reason I really love mentoring and teaching, especially young people, is that it's like, oh God, there's just so much inspiration there, and to feel like the future is in the hands of your generation. And when I'm hopeful about it and I look at this generation, oh my gosh, I feel so comforted and so charged and so inspired.
Yeah.
And that's, that helps me do what I do.
Shall we share?
Yeah, okay, you go first.
Okay, so mine is like a bunch of different personalities that I have. These are all of them. I did one of my eyes.
Can I take a picture?
This is my plant self. It kind of spouted out from the eyebrows. I was very much feeling the hair.
I love it.
And I only have 4 fingers, but on this one, but it happened, and I love the mistakes. So
beautiful. Okay, funny you say that, because a lot of mine have a lot of hair. So here we go. Okay,
I'm ready.
Okay, mine's in pink. Like, can you see?
Oh my gosh, I love that. Wait, I'm gonna take a screenshot of that.
Yeah, take a screenshot, and then we'll take a picture because I'm gonna put on Instagram.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. I love the earrings. That's detail in the eyebrow.
I know. I was like, huh. Well, that's very correct. I'm like focusing a lot on eyebrows, and each one has like hoop earrings because I own like 3 pairs of earrings, and they're all hoops, and I wear them all the time.